Hello, everybody. And with Daredevil Born Again coming out, we might as well talk about the final season of Daredevil. It came out, I think, 2018, and I saw it, I think, a year later after it came out. And I gotta say, this is definitely an excellent season from the last two, and probably one of the best Marvel finales and shows. It really tops most Marvel shows in my opinion. So if you don't know from the last, we saw Daredevil in the timeline so far in the Defenders. Spoilers: the Defenders defeat the Hand, and they let the building crumble they were in with the Hand, and Daredevil basically stayed behind with Elektra, and we find out that Matt, of course, survived, and he fell to his death, and he somehow survived and landed on the beach and was taken to the church. And so now Matt is on the run as the Kingpin has returned. So, yeah, this season, it jumps a lot. It's like a little bit more fast pacing, and it introduces a lot different characters, and it's more of a sort of crime thriller from it, because we don't see Matt do much lawyering because of his whole on the run thing, because the FBI is trying to investigate Wilson Fisk as he is plotting his next crime wave, as he is put on house arrest for after he was sent to prison. But Matt is doing whatever it takes to hide his identity for a bit as he tries to get his senses back, and he has to stay away from Foggy and Karen because he's worried what they'll react if he reveals himself to be alive. But apparently they're doing a little bit better. Karen is still a journalist. Foggy started his own business and is doing his own thing. But Matt stays hidden until he randomly shows up to Foggy later in the episodes and saying that he's alive, and he disappears like a ghost. But we're also introduced to an FBI agent named Ray Nadeem. So I really like Ray Nadeem. When I first saw him in the show, I was a bit confused because it was completely shifting focus to completely different characters that you don't really expect to see in a show like this. But once they started introducing his character and the stakes started getting higher for Ray Nadeem, I started to really get intrigued by his character. He also has a partner who becomes a villain throughout this whole season. We meet Dex Poindexter, also known as Bullseye. So I was wondering if we were going to get Bullseye in this show, because Bullseye is more sadistic in the comic books. But in this show, it's more psychological, as he has a very dark backstory where he developed a lot of psychotic thoughts, where he ended up killing his baseball coach, and he has a psychiatrist. We all learn about this when Fisk starts to learn more about Dex, and he's basically going to use him as a puppet against Daredevil throughout this whole season. But we learn that Dex had a therapist, and she died, I think, of cancer or something, and it drove Dex a little mad. But he has the tapes of their sessions, and he also has an obsession with this one girl named Julie he used to work with, and he keeps following her around, and Fisk learns about this, and he's going to use it against him. But the biggest thing that happens this season is when Karen and Foggy are at the Bulletin to investigate what could be going on with Fisk. Literally, the lights turn out, and Dex shows up in a Daredevil costume. So the one nitpick I have with the season is how Dex got the costume. I don't know if I was not paying attention right in this season, but he basically gets the costume, because we don't see Matt in his Daredevil costume at all this season. He's wearing what he wore in the first season, his all black attire. But he basically Dex frames Daredevil for various crimes, and the best scene is where Matt catches the stick that was about to hit Foggy, and basically Matt gets into the fight with Bullseye, and the two fight, and then that's the one episode. But then various other things happen. We also have Karen Page starts to have things catch up to her, as you know, in the first season she killed Fisk's right hand man Wesley, and it's starting to catch up to her. We even learn about her backstory, where she accidentally killed her brother, and it's actually a very tragic story for her. But she's able to redeem herself through in her interaction with Matt when she starts to learn that he's alive throughout this season. But Matt is basically doing what he can to survive. And we get this one episode where he tries to investigate Fisk out of prison, but he ends up getting framed. And that's where the FBI does go after him. And we get this very long fight scene in the prison yard. And it just goes on for a while, and it's a very entertaining fight. It's like a 10-minute fight where Matt is taking down various squat guards. He's like fighting various prisoners. He ends up escaping, but he basically goes into a taxi, and the taxi driver gets switched up, and he ends up falling into the river. Matt does survive, and the next episode where he barely appears in the episode at all. And that's where we do learn about Dex's backstory. But the various things happen for Dex as he tried to talk to the girl, Julie. But she ends up finding him very creepy. And a few episodes later, he tries to apologize. But it ends up getting ruined when Fisk has Julie get murdered. And Dex thinks she doesn't like him at all. But she never got to really know Dex after his apology, which is even sadder. But Dex ends up doing more sadistic things as he's wearing the Daredevil outfit. One of the biggest scenes in this whole season is at a church where he's ordered to kill Karen Page because Karen ended up confessing to Fisk what she did to Wesley. And it all happens at a church. Daredevil fights Dex, but he ends up killing Father Lankham, who's been Matt's mentor ever since he was a child. And he ends up stabbing him. It's actually sad because Father Lankham was a good pastor, priest, whatever you want to, the name is. But he dies saving Karen. It kind of is like the comics, where if you don't know in the comics, Karen actually died by getting killed by Bullseye. So it could be a homage to that comic, if you really think about it. But it all comes down to in the finale, where Fisk can finally reunite with Vanessa. It took till episode 12 for them to reunite. But basically, he's gonna have Ray Nadeem get used as a pawn for Fisk. And he basically endangers and threatens his family. And it leads to, because of his failure to capture Daredevil, and he ended up working with Daredevil, Ray Nadeem, he decides to have Ray get killed by Dex. And he ends up shooting him in the head. But that wasn't the last of it, as Ray Nadeem made a phone call sort of video where he shared it to everybody, his confession of what Fisk has been up to. And it all leads to a epic finale where Daredevil has to fight Fisk, and he has to choose whether he's going to kill him or not. And his friends are not on board with it after everything Matt has done throughout this whole season. But it all becomes an intense finale where it's all taking place at Fisk's home, where he attacks him, and it leads to a bunch of dudes just smacking blood punches on each other, throwing various objects at each other, and he even breaks Dex's back when he shows up in the Daredevil costume. But we get this one scene where Daredevil literally just pounds the crap out of Kingpin, and he almost kills him until he decides to show mercy because he doesn't want to destroy who he is. And Matt lets the fist go, and I assume he gets his armor back after Dex is seriously injured, and the day is saved. Daredevil has cleared his name, even though with the loss of Ray Nadeem, he lives on. And Father Nadeem gets his funeral, and it ends with Matt, Karen, and Foggy starting their law firm back up with Murdoch, Nelson, and Page. And that's the last we ever saw of Charlie Cox's Daredevil for a while, until he finally showed up again in Spider-Man No Way Home, and now he's going to be Daredevil in Daredevil Born Again. And he made a few appearances in The Echo Show, She-Hulk, but that's the end of Daredevil Season 3. I probably skipped some things throughout the season, but I think I broke down the season pretty well. It has great action, great drama, great character developments, and it's easily one of the best Marvel shows of our time. Definitely check out this show. Most of the other Marvel Netflix shows I couldn't really get into. I did like Jessica Jones. I couldn't really get into Luke Cage. Iron Fist was so boring. But The Defenders was okay. I probably will review The Defenders. I just don't know when. But I've also reviewed the Daredevil movie, which I will be putting out this week. So look forward to that. So Charlie Cox is amazing as Daredevil. I can't wait to meet him later this month. So I'll definitely talk about it in the future for sure. And show it on here. Hopefully it works out. So I give this season probably an 8 out of 10. So yeah, I'm excited for Daredevil Born Again. I'm going to definitely review it on this channel for sure. I'm going to do my best. So I don't know what to look forward to. So we'll just have to wait and see. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.